Yeah. So, we're
Yep.
saying thank God for Jim Sterling because
Woo.
we had a tradition of saying every episode because we do watch him quite frequently and we do have a great deal of respect for his reviews and his opinions and his
Mhm.
episodes and things, and thank God for Jim fucking Sterling's son.
Thank
And
God for Jim.
Yep.
Good save, by the way. Good save.
Good save.
so
Uh-huh.
welcome to our episode. And so this week, I know. Let's see. Let's go ahead and start with Mouse. What have you been up to?
This week, well, I have been I have been working on my my upcoming comic, Grinners and Losers. I have been doing art for it. I have been doing scripts for it. I have been posting some sample artwork. I have also been sending my resume to local colleges and universities to see if anyone wants to hire me. And I did send my resume to a local language teaching school. So we'll see what comes of that.
Yeah.
And CC, I know you've been busy. What have you been up to?
I've been doing a lot of working. I've been working on a role for an opera, and on Wednesday morning, I was asked by a student if I was also going to the local high school.
Wow.
Okay.
I was like, okay. This is why that bouncer thought that my ID was fake. I was like, what? I am way too old to have a fake ID. What do you want from me?
Cherish it while you can.
I wish I could
Yeah,
have ever had that happen to me, but
yeah. I still get checked for rated R movies usually.
well,
It's weird. Super
don't worry about
weird.
that. For my own part, it's still been the continuation of a very very busy time at work. Obviously, I can't go entirely into what I do, but it's just been a lot of turnover, a lot of hectic things going on.
He's a sorcerer's apprentice.
If only I work at Hogwarts.
Yes.
Sometimes it feels like it. So it but yesterday I did go to Best Buy and I went a little extravagant on my purchases and I
Oh.
have picked up the first complete season of Penny Dreadful, the first and second seasons of Vikings, and the first and second season of Arrow. So at some point I'm going to sit down and have a watch-a-thon. Probably
Penny
start.
Dreadful is really strange,
Excellent.
but it should be really strange. I didn't really
Yes.
watch it because I found there are a couple of points where I was just like, that's just distasteful. But I understand that's also in the flavor of the series, so.
Well, I was watching YouTube. This is funny. I bought the damn DVD, and what was I doing last night? Watching YouTube videos of Penny Dreadful.
Of course.
I'm like,
of
I could
course.
be in the other room watching this,
Uh-huh.
but I'm
Yeah.
going, ooh, what's this? Ooh. So that's what I'll be working on, and I still need to finish um, Kill Count Dark, which I still have 3 more chapters to get through. I just never got around to it this week. But for those who haven't seen it, I did do my very first episode of MM Opinion, which is a discussion of it's kind of a review since I can't really discuss by myself. So it's kind of a review of the new zones that were announced for Legion. So that is up on the YouTube channel. So if you got time, go take a look at that. But let's go ahead and get to the crux of why we're here because we've got a game-heavy agenda, and let's start with
do.
Beyond Eyes, which was recently released on PC and Xbox. This is a walking sim. It's a bit of a puzzler, but it is gorgeous.
It is. In this game, you play the role of Ray, who is a girl who has lost her sight. She's about 10 years old, and she is looking for her lost kitten. And as you walk through the world, you're basically guided by sounds. The world is mostly this blank canvas, and as you walk, the sounds and the textures that you feel create the world around her in her mind. And you also have to deal with the fact that she has very frightful reactions to certain things, so you have to walk around certain puzzles, find different ways around it.
And her imagination is not always correct because
Exactly.
there's like one point where she's actually she perceives that she's approaching a fountain, but it's actually water draining out of a drain pipe. So it relies heavily on what she thinks that she's hearing, which is not necessarily always correct.
And the artwork is this beautiful watercolor-ish. Oh man, it's gorgeous. I love it. It is. I love pretty things. I'm very much a girly girl in that aspect. And this is gorgeous. Like I could take a screenshot from just about any moment in this game and throw it
Echo, echo.
up on a wall
Oof.
somewhere.
It is
Am I
quite.
hot
It is.
micing? Is that
We're
me?
having the haunting audio today for some strange
Yeah.
reason.
I don't know why that's going on. I suspect it might be on my side, even though my recording devices have been set to just, stereo mix enabled itself in the background. Disable.
I blame mouse.
No, I blame Windows 8. It's Windows 8, period.
But anyway, a screenshot from any point in this game, I would be more than happy to frame and just throw on my wall of my bedroom. I'm so happy.
Unfortunately, that is that is the biggest draw of the game as far as gameplay goes. After the novelty wears off, I have this game. I guess I decided, might as well take care of it. The novelty just wears off, and it just feels way too long. It is basically a walking sim like Dear Esther, and even though the taking control of a blind protagonist and dealing with the challenges that a blind protagonist has to deal with is novel, they don't really do a lot with it.
And she does walk fairly slow, and
She does walk incredibly slow.
but that, I mean, you wouldn't expect somebody who's blind to just go like
Flying
full
like
tilt,
Naruto running.
Oh yeah.
launching
Well,
through
she-
the trees and stuff like that.
I appreciate that she can't just go running through and the world magically appears around her. She has to take her time. And some people complain that the ending especially goes too slow, but it's a short game.
I mean,
Anyway.
how much how much can you drag out?
Yeah, how much can you drag out? You're just walking around looking for your cat. But it's less than $10, right? It's like I think it's on sale right now.
I mean, if you look at the game, this is one of those instances where if you look at the game as art as opposed to game, I suppose you're fine. So
Yeah.
And speaking as an opera singer, it can feel. Right now, it's at $13.49 on Steam. It is short, but there are times where it just feels long, like watching a Wagner opera. However, it's a novel concept. I would love to see the developers revisit the concept and make it perhaps a little bit more dynamic, because when you think about it, blind protagonists have to deal with more challenges than just the environment around them. I would have actually liked to see a little bit more of exploration with interacting with other people as well.
Yeah.
sorry, I'm tweaking colors as we go. So aside from Beyond Eyes, the next thing is something I kind of came across, which if I can get down to that's why I have too many things going on. Is a little MOBA thing that they don't have any gameplay out yet. I just kind of came across it called Trudy's Mechanicals.
No, they said that there were MOBA aspects, but I think they were referring to it more as a turn-based puzzle game when I checked on it. They may have been updating things and changed it, but they said it was MOBA-like.
Well,
But-
it's entirely possible. I mean, I can only obviously go by the game
Yeah.
the screenshots. But this is a Slavic-rooted steampunk setting. I was looking at their character designs. There are some pretty damn creepy images, but it's really very cool looking. For I'm dying to see the actual gameplay when they get around to it. But this isn't slated for sometime in 2016. But for the time being, all we have is just their sort of puppetry style opening trailer, which unfortunately doesn't tell us much.
It does tell us the art direction, at least.
Yes, the art direction is like I said, cool but creepy.
Yes, it is. Very creepy. I love
One of these
it.
days, I want to incorporate the videos. I'm just trying to figure out a good way to do that because otherwise they would all be running simultaneously, and that would be
Yeah, that could be a
Yeah.
hot mess.
yeah. And on top of that, I always have the caution of what will get me pulled off of YouTube. So
Yeah.
Well, just don't feature any Konami
well, or Nintendo. So
or Nintendo.
Yeah.
So aside from that was something Mouse brought up the last night, which came out of Cyberpunk Jam 2014, which is same place Ronin came out of, as a matter of fact.
Yes, Ronin is fantastic too. The last night I played it when it was originally a Flash game, which you can play on the website. Now, these two brothers, Tim and Adrien Soray from Paris, they were originally developing a Studio Ghibli inspired dark fantasy game. And then Cyberpunk Jam happened, which is basically when a whole bunch of developers just, I think it's over the course of a month, is it true?
What?
They create a game over the course of a month.
I believe it was. I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm doing again multitasking.
And they created this Flash game with gorgeous pixel art that it feels like a huge homage to Blade Runner. And they won the competition. Basically, they out of 256 games, they got the top billing, and this convinced the brothers to decide and go ahead and make a full game out of this. And they want to. They basically say they want to bring back the genre of cinematic platform gaming in the style of flashback. Some as you might know it as Out of This World, and Oddworld Odyssey, which is fine by me. If you go to the web page, which is oddtales.net, you can see some demos of the parallax scrolling screen and the lighting, and it's done in this stunning pixel art that is just gorgeous. I want to play this game right now just by looking at it. And so they're going to start a Kickstarter apparently in this year in 2015, and the platforms that they have planned for this are the consoles, PC, and the Mac. So pretty much everything under the sun. They said that it's going to have action and infiltration gameplay. So there's a little bit of the rogue in there, Ronin. Sorry. You're going to be able to travel between districts a little bit like the Tex Murphy games. You're going to have interactive, what they call in-game multiple choice events, so you have branching paths, and they also are aspiring to create a living simulated world in which NPCs are moving around doing their stuff, so you don't have like the little old woman sweeping the front of her house forever and ever. So I am totally stoked for this game. I played the Flash game, and I just loved it. So good for the brothers.
Yeah. This looks like it's well. We put a lot of stock into whether or not things are pretty, and not just because we like things that look nice. We like good graphics. No, it's because we like artistry. We like it when people really put an effort into how things look. And some of us, not me, but the others have some artistic background.
Well, good art is usually one of the first things sacrificed. So
Yes.
I mean. Now, that isn't to say that there aren't good games out there that don't have good art, but usually those games have a certain aesthetic that they're consistent with, and the aesthetic
That they make it work.
Yeah, and the aesthetic makes it work. So, in those instances, that can be forgiven, but good artwork is one of the last things to go in, and is one of the first things sacrificed. And when a game comes out with good artwork, you're like, okay, this now it catches my eye because it is a visual medium first and foremost. So it has to catch your eye, unless it has something else to catch.
Yeah. Back in the early days, you had interactive fiction, which was just purely text, and you had to write well, and you had to be able to paint a scene. And well, in fact, interactive fiction is a genre that is still thriving today, and it's actually been being sold today too. Most people will hear about that and go, wait, they're selling text-based games and people make money out of it? Yeah.
Not a lot of money. It's not the
Not a lot
AAA
of money.
games money, but
Well,
it's money.
I think Andrew Plotkin had a Kickstarter for an interactive fiction game, and it raised like $500,000, I think. So, well, then again, Andrew Plotkin, he's like one of the gods of interactive fiction, up there with Emily Short. So, if you guys ever, over there, the listeners, ever want to play a game by these people, go and look for it at the Interactive Fiction Archive. That was my plug, because I love interactive fiction. But yes, this game, wonderful looking indie game, and anything that tries to bring back the Blade Runner aesthetic and the Blade Runner, it's not really cyberpunk, but it's like they call it cyberpunk noir. I want that. I want that so bad.
All right, and moving on is another thing the mouse brought up: the fun that is Fallout 4. We have now. Certainly, there's been a lot of talk about Fallout 4, and it's due out later this year. Where I think we're looking at about 2 or 3 more months to go.
Yes.
And ironically, there's been a lot of things pulled down that have been up, but there's one place things have not been pulled down.
You mean things that stay up?
Yes, things that stay up.
So apparently, speaking of staying up, you see these smuggled footage of Fallout 4 demos have found a new home, Pornhub. They have been disguised. You have like full 5 or 7 minutes demos of the upcoming Fallout 4 game, and these people have craftily hidden the videos under the title "Hidden Camera Shows Audience Teased by Big Butt Man in Tights Live,"
Yeah.
which is actually if you've seen footage from the Fallout demo that was shown at E3, it's actually quite true, because as soon as that video went up, people were talking about the shapely buttocks of the Vault Dweller.
Give or take until Fallout 4.
Yeah, I give or take the Fallout 4.
Thank you, Tea Time Games.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for people who cannot see this, Tea Time Games said 86 days, 3 hours, 38 minutes, give or take, until Fallout 4.
Yeah, well, he is the fan, so
So
he is
Yeah.
my source for all things Fallout, and when time comes, he will be my victim for all things
Yeah.
Fallout.
yeah.
So yeah, if you want your porn or your Fallout, go to Pornhub.
And get,
just-
you know,
You
you'll
don't
get
go
your
back
bang-
to feed.
That's what I call calling your bang for your buck.
Hey.
Hey.
So aside from that, Scalebound. This is something that's coming out on Xbox One, and this is ironically, this was brought to my attention by Foom last week, because I have a role-playing character who I designed to look like Dante from DMC4 wearing Loki's outfit. And he goes, "Hey, did you see this character?" And literally the next day after I showed it in this Photoshop mock-up I did, and I looked at him like, Jesus Christ, they stole my character. And then I found out the character's name is Drew, and I'm like, and they stole my name, the bastards. As a result, we have a game coming out called Scalebound. I wish it wasn't for Xbox One alone, because I don't own an Xbox One.
Consoles are expensive.
Yeah, well, tea time. The search term was what big button type. What was it? Mouse.
Big.
Hidden camera shows audience teased by my man with big buttocks in tights or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyways, back to Scalebound. So in this, you play a character named Drew, who very much looks like he could be related to Dante from Devil May Cry. And he is teamed up symbiotically with a very large dragon named Thuban. And you are basically running around in this very large open environment. Facing off against enemies and giant monsters straight out of Godzilla practically. And you and Thuban basically run around kicking butt together. And we're not talking at the same scale. We are talking a human and a freaking gigantic dragon fighting giant monsters.
Oh, I like
And
that.
it is. I was watching the sample gameplay, and I was just going, "God, I want an Xbox One now."
Yeah. It
And
looks really, really fun.
it's very cool
Crazy fun.
looking. I mean, he's got his bow, and he's got a whole bunch of tactics. It is very much
A dragon.
and a dragon, and it's very much kind of I would say Dragon Age Inquisition meets Bayonetta meets Devil May Cry meets Final Fantasy
Meets Dragonheart.
meets Dragonheart meets
One,
it's
not Dragonheart 2, Dragonheart 1.
we don't count anything past Dragonheart 1. They don't exist.
Exactly.
They're not real.
No.
There's some
And-
drug-induced hallucination.
And if
So
you metrocode.uk, you can see a very interesting interview with Hideo Kamiya, who's the co-founder of Platinum Games, who are making this game. And everybody seems to be amazed that Platinum Games are still around. Including Kamiya himself.
well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how often do we hear out of Platinum? So,
I know.
Yeah. It's
But,
one of
I
those
mean-
games that you feel like has been eaten by a larger publisher by now.
but I mean, he talks about he came out of Capcom, so I mean he's borrowing from a lot of elements that go into Capcom games, and but I mean. I look at this and there's customer characterization that you can, customization that you can do, and you can
Of the dragon. Of the
of the
dragon.
dragon too.
Of the dragon.
Yeah,
Oh,
you-
I
you-
can have my own
you
regular
can,
dragon.
and there's even a co-op mode where you can go into battle, and I think they showed at least 3 other dragons and their tamers popped into the battle
wow.
as well. And so it's hey, I may have to get an Xbox One just for this, because there have been times where I'm like going, one game, god damn it, and I have to have a console.
Yeah.
It sounds like a very extreme version of How to Train Your Dragon.
If
Especially like in the very epic scenes where everybody's flying in with their dragons going, ah!
well, I wouldn't go to that. Yeah,
Well, it's the closest thing we get.
mm, I wouldn't go to that level, but
Hey, it's as close as it gets. That's why I said it's not. It's a lifelike simulation, not an exact replica.
it's a dragon training sim.
Dragon Trading Sim. Before we move on to the next topic, though,
Yeah.
also some of you may have been living under a rock. Fallout Shelter is out now for the Android.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Fallout.
I forgot to mention that. Bad Drew, shame on you. And it's
Oh, well, I'm only responsible for getting all the graphics and putting the whole thing together. Don't mind me.
He's only in charge of everything.
it's in charge of everything. The game is really good, really addicting, and in fact, the reason we started late is because I lost track of time while playing my shelter, and I had a band of raiders raiding my shelter right before we were supposed to do sound check, and I didn't realize until Drew said, "Are we doing this today?" It's like, "Oh,
yeah,
one
we'll
second."
blame him for being late. Yeah.
Yeah, but the game is a lot of fun, and it can get pretty absurd at times, like Fallout does. But this is full absurdity. For example, to make, you can build rooms inside your shelter, and you can make living quarters. And you assign people to different rooms to have different jobs. And if you assign a man and a woman to the living quarters, they will try to hit it up and then get it on and then produce a baby. And
Because they're bored.
and they're,
And
you
they're
know,
in a shelter.
they're inside a mountain. You know, there's
Well,
not much.
what else are you going to do, really?
What else are you gonna do? The
Gotta
funny thing is
repopulate
that
the world.
the funny thing is that contrary to every female I have ever met in my entire life, you have a little a morale meter for each one of your little characters. Every time one of the women gets pregnant, she has 100% happiness. Throughout the entire pregnancy. And I went, that's not real.
No one who has ever been pregnant would agree with that.
Well, this is also meant to come from a fantasy 1950s universe. So
It is. So that it's perfectly in step with that.
yeah, the barefoot and pregnant premise.
Now,
It's
there
it's
are certain women who would.
have a kick.
There are certain women who have these weirdly fantastical pregnancies, and they love everything, and they're so good.
But they're aliens. They're Kryptonians. Let's face it. They're really Kryptonians.
Hey, if you could give birth to a race of super Kryptonians underground and then repopulate it, bring on the super
Yeah.
Well,
mutant bitches.
it's funny because I was playing this game and I was going, I'm an awful person, because what it would happen is, if I had, they have different stats, so you assign the people with the best stats to specific rooms geared to that stat so they can have the most optimal performance.
Mouse, were you trying a eugenics program?
Well, no, no. Actually, it's actually totally the total opposite, because you end up with men and women who have very few good skills, right?
Mm.
And they just don't do anything. They just keep wandering around. So, so uh, they're not happy unless they're working, unless they have something to do. So I keep assigning these losers to mate with each other and breed. And so right now,
They're not happy unless they're doing something, so just make love.
make love. So right now I have this horde of pregnant women walking around the station, my little fallout shelter. The women who are not working are pregnant, and I had to build extra food restaurants because the food was shorting out after the raids. So I basically like all of them have ended up working at the restaurant. So they're in the kitchen, they're pregnant, they might be barefoot, and I'm going, I am a horrible human being.
Well,
You're also in control of a fallout shelter, so
I'm also
yes.
I'm going to point out that Mummer often makes jokes about his girlfriend, currently pregnant, being in the kitchen barefoot while he's on stream,
on stream.
because she usually is pregnant in the kitchen barefoot. Hi,
My-
Mergeek. Hi, how are you? I don't know if you're watching the show or not.
My mother is watching the show and she just texted me. She said some women do feel fantastic their whole pregnancy. Other women want to kill them. Now, Mom, do you realize you can put things in the chat box?
In the chat box, yes.
Chat box.
The chat
You
box.
can do that, and then everyone can see that, so I don't have to read that aloud to everyone. I do appreciate that you
Maybe
text
she just wants you to read it aloud.
Maybe she does. Maybe she does, because
That
she's
should be
more
that should be
geared
a
for
segment.
people
Text
that-
from mom.
Text from Mom. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Mom says.
mom
Yeah,
said.
Mom
There you
All
go.
right,
says.
moving on now. The next news is for Dark Souls 3. I know this is another extremely popular game on Twitch. I have another friend, Seppuku Gaming, and a couple others who are absolute fanatics about playing Dark Souls. In fact, they love to challenge themselves and play it at level 1 so that they don't give themselves any additional power or life to go through and try and beat this game, which is extremely hard. As much as I love watching it, I would rage quit after 5 minutes because I can't stand a game where you're guaranteed of dying at least 220 times. And so Dark Souls 3 is in the works, and one of the comments that I noticed was, if Dark Souls 2 was not as popular as the original Dark Souls, and the comment was is that they were worried that would there be a Dark Souls 3, but with the recent release of Bloodborne, which was extremely popular and very much in the same vein as the storyline, even though it wasn't officially a sequel, it's very much the same vein, very much the same type of battle strategies. If not for that, with Dark Souls 2 not having been created by the same person who created Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne,
Right.
you know, it's proven that it wasn't the creator's vision. Miyazaki, Hidetaka Miyazaki, who created Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne, is back with Dark Souls 2, so, pardon me, 3, so we're going to pretty much pretend Dark Souls 2 doesn't exist, I guess, and move on to Dark Souls 3, and it's very much, they had some journalists playing it and confirming that once again, that you are going to die. It is extremely hard, very much in the same tradition of the game, so I guess I'm going to have some good time watching
Everybody else dying.
watching everyone else die, because that's my enjoyment during the night.
Yeah, I don't play Dark Souls. I know it's a very good game. It's also for the extreme hardcore gamers, which I am, but I'm for a different genre.
I really like games that you die a lot in. People who've seen this show before know that some of my early childhood memories actually involve playing. Well, help me name famous game.
Which
or
game?
Japanese.
Oh, Silent Hill? No.
Castlevania.
Oh,
Involved
You know,
playing
that
Castlevania with my
game
dad. That game, it's just kind of well known.
might-
I have
You
distinct
know.
memories of playing Castlevania as a small child. That may be a little weird. Not small, but I really like. I love a challenging game, and the more I die, generally the happier I am. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but it makes me happy.
Well, one of the things
So I'll
that
probably be playing it.
Miyazaki had commented, they asked, is this the end? Is Dark Souls 3 the end? He said he sort of sees it as a turning point, and one of the things he would like to work on after Dark Souls is he wants to do a science fiction type storyline. He wants to bring it into sci. He wants to bring the Miyazaki touch, as it were, into sci-fi and Japanese mechs. And so he's looking at possibly something a little Geiger-esque. So I think I'm dying to see something in a sci-fi vein because it's easy to go with the gothic and the Lovecraftian feel for this fantasy genre, but I would love to see something truly Geiger in a sci-fi environment. So I'm really hoping he does go with that.
Yeah. And Warboss Web, I love this comment. Punishing games sort out those who try and those who conquer.
And those who don't even want to try.
Those who try and those who conquer. So I am a fan of that statement. So.
Yep. So moving on from Dark Souls 3.
Moving on to things to remember your comment about let's pretend it doesn't exist, that 2 doesn't exist. We're moving on to a company that is trying to pretend Hideo Kojima doesn't exist.
Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Now, I'm going to be honest. I know a lot of people have told me I need to play Metal Gear Solid. I have not. I have read up on it. I haven't gotten around because of my tendency to play stealth games lately. It's just one of those stealth games I haven't gotten around to.
You're also not stealthy.
No. You fail at
like-
stealth.
Let's be honest. I don't play my stealth games stealthy. I play them snipery. So
You just go out of you're like, okay, you kill as many people as you can rather than sneaking around as much as you can.
Welcome
And
to my
that is
stealth games.
it is legit, but
But as I understand it, this game you're not playing Snake. You're playing Big Boss. And I watched the opening video, the trailer release video, and my comment was, this trailer is the biggest pile of what the fuck I have ever seen.
it's got like 6 really good trailers in there, but the problem is they took them up, threw them into a blender, and saw what happened. So you have some really, really redundant speech. Like the first speech you hear from the character, he's talking about, well, as a child, I was taken away from my family and given a new language and blah, blah, blah. And then immediately afterwards, and I swear there's not even enough room for a really good breath. They have a narrator come in and say, this guy was taken away from his parents and given a new language. So it's really really strange. It's also about 4 minutes too long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, it was.
actually, in I know that people are really fans of Kojima's works, but way too long is a way I would describe the Hideo Kojima game. Now, this game is the last collaboration Kojima will ever have with Konami. As you know, there has been a lot of acrimonious things going back and forth between Kojima. Konami has actually erased the name Hideo Kojima from the website, from the box of this game. They're basically pretending Hideo Kojima never existed.
And in order,
Well, it says a Hideo Kojima game right on that graphic we have right there in front of us.
well, that's because I took that from somewhere.
That's because he
Oh,
took
okay.
it from somewhere else. Because Konami's not crediting Kojima anymore.
and,
because
and,
Konami,
and in the tradition of the name of the episode, fuck Konami.
fuck Konami.
Because,
Thank God for Jim.
Thank God for Jim.
So yes, I know this. I honestly wonder what the fate of this game is going to be with all of the fallout that has become very public, especially now that we know that Konami is one of the worst companies in Japan to work at, and that says a lot.
Yeah.
Because outside of Nintendo, except for what we're going to talk about soon.
Uh,
Nintendo tends to stay away from the more abusive practices towards their employees. Konami just embraces it. It's like you have Doctor Evil and Doctor Blofeld just going, "Oh yes."
Well, it's very telling about the way that Japanese businesses work that there's actually a Japanese word for working yourself to death, which I don't remember what it is.
But this goes even beyond that. We're talking about, for example, the developers, software developers who are deemed no longer usable for the company are demoted to, say, cleaning toilets. You're not allowed to leave the premises of the building for any reason, for any excuse, without like authorization. There's cameras everywhere to track employee movement in the compound, because it's a compound basically. And Jim Sterling, thank God for Jim, has contacts that he cannot divulge because Konami is an over litigious bastard.
Yeah, and they'll fire them.
And they'll fire him. They'll fire them, but he basically reveals that, you know, when you go into Konami, everything requires authorization. You can't work the first 2 weeks because you're still waiting for the authorization for your computer to come in, and you don't get a corporate email. You have to make an email address from Hotmail, and it's basically
The opposite of Google?
it's the opposite of Google. If there is an anti-Google, it's Konami.
Yeah.
But I mean, this game. I just think it's funny based off of the trailer. They say that this is going to be a game that has actually less dialogue than the predecessors. But given the trailer, I'm like, it's a game about language. And how that defines a people, and that you only have resistance because of language, and
this trailer makes the importance of language very, very clear. I think they use the word language in almost every single sentence.
yes, they did, and it was usually associated with a close up on somebody's face looking zombie like.
Yeah. So
And that was my face at the end, going, "What?"
what? So they're having this focus on language, and yet they've made a point of saying that there is less dialogue than any other game.
Than its predecessors, mainly because they're saying this is open world, and as a result, whatever. But
That's okay. In a couple of years, they will turn it into a pachinko machine, and they'll call it linguistic violence.
yep, there we go.
That's what I'll do.
Yes, that is so mote it be. So moving on from Metal Gear Solid to another franchise I have in my queue of things I want to play but haven't gotten around to yet. Mass Effect Andromeda, which is the 4th installment. This on the heels of the much maligned Mass Effect 3,
With a reason.
with which only barely recovered because of its DLC, but not by that much.
Not by that much. That's the game that made me worry very much for BioWare, because I felt that was the evil taint of Electronic Arts just brushing against this company. Fortunately, they
The
steered
taint brushing up against them.
The seductive lure of the
Electronic Arts taint.
Yeah.
But they recovered themselves, but still,
only barely.
barely. Now, there were rumors that this game was going to take place in a completely different time frame from the original Mass Effect, but now we're getting word that we're going to see characters from the earlier games, and that disturbs me because the only way that you can actually make a playable Mass Effect game right now is to set it after the ending of Mass Effect 3, maybe after a new civilization has risen, because otherwise, if you make it a prequel, it's all going to go to shit.
It's not a prequel. They're specifically putting it in another galaxy, which is why it's Andromeda. Mm-hmm. And I forget how they mentioned that it's sort of time locked. They are somehow quarantined from the actual events of Mass Effect 3. And they are dealing with not the Reavers, but they're dealing with another ancient alien civilization that they've come across.
Zsa Zsa Gabor.
No, Shasha Gabor.
Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Hey, if you need an ancient alien, that's her.
Sure.
Jokes that people in their 20s and younger will not
Not yet.
understand.
No. So, anyways,
Go look up
basically,
Zsa Zsa.
it's taking place in a whole other place, essentially. But it's not a sequel. It's not a prequel. It's a concurrent quel.
The fact that it takes place in an entirely different galaxy makes me giggle because the music that they use in their trailer is Johnny Cash, Ghost Riders in the Sky. So and don't get me wrong,
Well,
I
they're
love
Earthlings. I mean, they're from
they are
Earth,
Earthlings,
so
but it made me giggle. We're echoing again.
are we?
I thought we were.
No.
Maybe my computer's freaking out. Okay, never mind.
All right. Next up is Quantum Break.
This game looks interesting.
When I came across this, and this is again one I wish I'd had an opportunity to dwell a little bit more on when I was looking it up. This is a video game that looks like a cross between Prototype and all those superhero-y, apocalypse games, but it also has a flair of time control in it. And your main character is actually Shawn Ashmore from the X-Men. and your main villain is Aidan Gillen.
Uh-huh.
So it's got other actors. It's got Dominic Monaghan, Lance Reddick, Courtney Hope is in it. But like I said, it's got a flair. Apparently, it starts off with Shawn Ashmore's brother, who apparently has some sort of time control ability and is trying to stop the end of the universe, gets killed and therefore cannot stop the end of the universe. And somehow, as a result of his brother getting killed, Shawn Ashmore gets superpowers, and now he has to do it. So it's the sinking in of plot line is just kind of nosebleed inducing a little bit, but I'm still dying to see how it plays out.
Yeah,
Well, pretty much anything that involves time travel is going to be a little bit nosebleed inducing plot wise.
Yes. One of the games that actually there's a current I wouldn't even call it indie game because it's been published by Squaresoft. But Life is Strange is a game that has time travel mechanics, but you can only rewind time up to a certain point. So that's one way to avoid headaches. And actually, Life is Strange is actually interesting. I'm still waiting for the last episode to see if I recommend it to people or not. But
truthfully, that's also more of a puzzler than Quantum Break, which is more of an action.
Mm-hmm.
I will probably play Quantum Break because it fits into my bizarre stealthing, wanting to kill everybody kind of strategy of
it's a self-contradiction that
gameplay.
is you. And then you can tell us whether we should waste our money or spend it well.
Oh well, whether I think you're wasting your money or not is irrelevant. I have wasted my money on Dark twice, so.
Ooh.
And apparently, there's also the reason we mentioned so many actors involved is because in addition to the game, there is a live-action show that will be shipping with the game.
Ah.
So that's why you're actually Shawn Ashmore.
I like that.
So keep that in mind. You'll get a show out of it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting if it does well.
Just hopefully it's not kind of like Defiance, As much as I like watching Defiance, you can't pay me enough to play it. So
Yeah.
and that's saying a lot considering Defiance is an MMO. So
That's true.
a free MMO.
Yeah.
They couldn't pay you to play it.
They couldn't pay me to play it. I'll watch it. I like watching the show, but I won't play it.
I love I do enjoy Defiance, and I love the idea of, for people who are not familiar with Defiance, they have a TV show going on and an MMO, and what happens in the TV show directly affects what happens in the MMO, and the MMO changes per week from episode to episode. And I love the way that they can tie that together. I think it's a really fantastic idea. I'm sorry, I have people yelling outside. Urban problems. And but it's a great concept. As a lot of times with a new concept, it's not always executed super well.
Yeah,
Right.
they try and cross it over. I mean, you've got major characters from the show who will actually show up as NPCs in the game. And the way they keep the two from having to interact so drastically is because the show takes place in one part of the country and the game takes place in another part of the country. So the only crossover are when characters actually travel, or when there is a major event that affects the entire country. So it's a good, like I said, it's a good concept, but I'd rather watch it being acted than actually play it.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially since you can't affect the eventual outcome of the show.
Actually, you could at the beginning.
Oh?
Because there was actually, I don't know how much it's still true, but when the game first started, you actually had the opportunity to, I forget exactly what the contest was, but you basically play a kind of a bounty hunter over in San Francisco, and you could make your character popular enough to where you would win either, I forget if it was a mention or a walk-on of your character on the actual show.
Yeah, but
I'm not certain.
that's not
Well,
as impactful. But
to a degree, I mean, obviously, you're not going to be calling down arcs and crap like that in order to destroy the planet. Continuity of gaming and all, but let's be honest, because, some asshat would be up there going, I'm going to destroy the planet. Ha! Let's see Defiance deal with this.
Yeah.
Defiance
And
deals
I'm
with
not
this by
gonna
having
lie.
somebody neutralize you.
yes, that would be fun. And of course, you lose your account because you get killed.
Yes. So
Yeah, but for a free game, just go out and totally destroy the world. There's a little bit of a sadistic part in the back of my brain that goes, do it.
Well, see,
So-
I mean, freaking with YouTube, let's be honest. If you, I'm going to destroy the planet and let them screw my account over because I have recorded evidence of it. It's like the
Yes.
person who burned Lord British to death with a wall of fire because Lord British thought he was immortal.
Yeah.
I was there. I
I
saw
know.
it.
So-
My first. Actually, I remember typing, "Should this be happening?
So next
Is this
up,
part of the show?
next
Oh my
up
God, he's on fire!"
is
Okay, go on.
Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, so apparently, no, usually the standard practice for Squaresoft for launching a Final Fantasy in most of their games is that first you have a Japanese release, and then a couple of months down the line, you have a North America and European releases lagging behind. But now we get apparently word of God that this will be a simultaneous global launch straight from director Hajime Tabata. So, well, the question is, are we really looking forward to that or not? At this point, after Final Fantasy 13, I don't know. It's like my heart got broken.
Let's be honest. From what I've seen, Final Fantasy 15 can't possibly be a dungeon simulator because it's been. But however, the premise that I've been told is 4 dudes on a road trip. 4 dudes on a road trip whose car breaks down, and they decide in order to fix it, they need the money from killing giant monsters. That's what I've heard so far. And that's consistent with what I've seen. And it's, yeah.
It's Final Fantasy 15. You know?
I hope there's more of a plot, because if that's all the plot, it's not Final Fantasy. But then again, 13,
Well-
let's be honest, had all plot but one dungeon.
That's part of my problem is that, no, I think there's going to be a lot more plot, like incomprehensible plot by
Like
the end.
13, where
Yes.
you have to read backlogs and data logs in order so you can actually sort of kind of understand the story that still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The fallacy,
Because
the
none of it is
lousy,
told
the
to you.
CC,
The falsy, the falsity, fali, and the crystal people, and the crystal zombies. Oh my God! Yeah, the pulsity, and yeah, it did not make any sense. Actually, at this point, they should call every Final Fantasy Final Fantasy. We should have stopped after 7.
Oh, well. So, yeah, simultaneous release. Keep your eyes open for it. Speaking of Final Fantasies, nope, yep, you were still on Final Fantasy. Something called Zodiac, the Orcanon Odyssey.
Yes, it's not actually Final Fantasy. These
I'm sorry,
This is-
the logos just harken back and forth. What can I
well,
say?
it is. They Kobojo wants to release the game in the spirit of Final Fantasy, and they are actually changing their business plan. They were originally going to call it a free-to-play game where you would basically buy expansions as it is released. But now they're going to make it a premium game with a one-time fee, and then you get the episodic releases for free, so to speak. Unfortunately, this is a collaborative online MMO RPG, so I'm not going to play it, even though it looks gorgeous, because I can't.
Mouse hate MMO.
Well, aside from that, I would have to play this on my phone, and
I'm in
or-
favor of anything that doesn't involve microtransactions.
well, I would have to play it on my phone, and the fact that it's a persistent online world means that it would eat up my data plan.
Yeah. If they can get Wi-Fi on the bus system
Yeah.
here, then, because I spend an hour on the bus to and from work each way, I would absolutely play this, and I would probably get too good at it for my own good. So I may look into it, check out how much data it would actually use.
I don't own a phone, so I guess I'll never be able to see it. So aside from that,
Yeah, you're stuck in the 90s.
Yep.
No, I'm purposefully disregarding the point of the phone.
Do you have a flip phone?
Purposely disregarding.
One of the tiny ones that looks like a tricorder?
Nope.
From the 60s? No? Not even that?
Nope.
Man.
Although
What's
that
wrong
was the last cell phone I owned.
But how do people call you into work on a Saturday?
They don't.
Exactly.
My ability to make phone calls is my interest, no one else's.
Uh-huh.
So next up, Mouse, another topic you brought up was Splatoon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. I don't have that on right now, but they're basically, as you know, Splatoon has been doing the releases for content slowly, but it's actually a very good game. They're getting a new ranking system. I believe it's this week?
I believe it was this week, yes.
Oh,
I
yeah, I
think it was
believe
this week. Is this week?
Yes.
And there we have it.
Well,
Today-ish.
it's,
A ranked battle playlist.
we
Well,
have,
if
we
you-
have
it
a
depends
lot
on-
of gaming topics, and we
Yeah.
didn't necessarily research them all nearly.
no,
as much
I
as we
just, let's not talk about this one because we do have a lot more ground to cover.
So moving on.
Yeah.
Etrian
Yeah.
Odyssey 2 Untold, The Fafnir Night.
Right. Okay. I don't know if you're familiar with Atlas RPGs. Atlas is one of the best
Love Atlas.
publishers. What was that?
Love Atlas. They
Yes.
retain. If you ever have an Atlas game and you want to resell it, it is one of the only games that ever retains its value.
Yes, they are unlike say Square Enix and other people. They're actually well known for putting out consistent, good quality games. Even the
And
less
not oversaturating the market. They put out just enough.
exactly.
Yep.
And this is one of the most well-known franchises they have, Etrian Odyssey. Now, the interesting thing is that this is not your typical JRPG, which nowadays we associate with Final Fantasy side view battles and active time battle systems and things like that. This is a good old dungeon crawler game, first person and all, in the style of Dungeon Master. Those of you who were born after 1980, Dungeon Master is the game that created the dungeon crawlers game. You saw it from a first-person perspective. Back in the day, you didn't have auto maps. You had to make your own maps. Then you had your little party, etc. Well, Etrian Odyssey is done in this same style with a little bit of wizardry thrown in, so you have tactical turn-based first-person combat where you tell each party member what to do, and you have rows of enemies, so you have to attack the first row before you get into the second row, and it's incredibly tactical. And the second installment, Etrian Odyssey Untold, The Fafnir Night, is out on stores right now, and it's really damn good. So if you like wizardry, Dungeon Master, or dungeon crawlers in general, check this thing out.
All right.
Cool.
Next up, then, if I can get back down to the... So what happens, I keep rolling up and down the screen because I'm trying to do things. Next up is Wolf, the Red Hood Diaries.
Actually, let's save this one for next week because I'm working on getting a guest for us who will be able to have a lengthy discussion on this.
Oh dear.
I do not have confirmation right now. We're in talks. So
We're in
gonna,
negotiations with our
well,
guests.
it's mostly schedule more than anything else.
Okay, I'll put it aside.
But
So, moving on to our What Would Iwata Do segment.
oh god, yes.
Take it, Mouse. It's all yours.
So Chris Pranger, who's an employee from a Nintendo Treehouse, went on to the Part-Time Gamer podcast. I think it was last Monday or 2 Mondays ago. I can't remember the timeline exactly. And he was very candid in a lot of the answers he gave to their questions, including the fact that Nintendo does not spend a lot of money on localizations. They said, well, we want money, and just look at you guys. You are not a big enough group for us to take the risk and do that localization. He revealed that, for example, Nintendo sometimes saves money on localization by using employees for localization voiceovers, which is which is exactly what Sierra and other companies were doing in 1995 to save money. Instead of hiring actors, they would grab someone and record lines in the bathroom, which is sometimes why you had this very strange echo in the background. So Nintendo,
not to mention very flat dialogue throughout the game.
It's almost like people who haven't taken voice acting training are doing the voice acting.
Do you know where you're going, Avatar? Sorry.
What is a paladin?
Yeah.
What is a paladin?
What is a paladin? It's because they were talking about Xenoblade Chronicles, which is a very popular RPG in Japan, and it has a following in the United States, but we would not call it a huge following like the Final Fantasy people.
No.
So they were talking about the corners that they cut during the localization of the game, and Nintendo did not like that, and Chris Pranger was fired for his disclosure on the show.
Now, he did discuss this without permission of Nintendo, and that's why they fired him. I think it was a breach of contract kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to talk about the projects without permission. And so they did, looking at his work project, they absolutely had the rights to terminate.
Kick him out.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is one bright side to the story, though. Shortly after Chris Pranger made his Twitter release, that yes, he said, I have been fired. Actually, here's the Twitter. As some of you may have heard, yes, I was fired yesterday. Yes, it was ultimately my own fault. No, I did not see this coming. The one bright side to this is that the official Sonic the Hedgehog account from Sega sent him the following tweet. Dear the Chris Pranger, hang in there. We all make mistakes. We kissed a princess once. Things will get better. That is a reference to the absolutely horrible Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 game. And I don't know if you have been following... Bestiality, yes. I don't know if you have been following the official Sonic the Hedgehog account, but whomever has the hold of that account right now just rocks. He or she is absolutely fantastic. You had people attacking them, saying, "You represent consumerist capitalism. Can there ever be an ethical consumption under capitalism?" And all Sonic the Hedgehog replied was, "Tumblr? Is that you?"
Yeah.
So many snowflakes, so little time.
So yeah,
it's like, really, you're trying to get into an ethical debate with Sonic the Hedgehog. Calm down. Calm down.
When your social justice brings you into conflict with a fictional character,
you might have crossed the line a little bit.
You need to reflect on your dedication just a bit.
Yeah.
It's incredibly sad.
Just tone it down to maybe a 5 or a 6 at that point. 11 is too high.
Yes.
Just a little bit.
So we have all learned from Pranger that if you work at Nintendo, make sure you're clear with your employers what you're going to discuss.
That's not just Nintendo.
Period. Not just Nintendo. If you're working on a project and you have signed any kind of non-disclosure agreement, clear any kind of interview you have
with your employer.
With your employer.
It's not even a non-disclosure thing. For example, the reason I can't discuss where I work is because the nature of my employment says that I cannot come forward in a public environment and speak on my work and let people know where I work, because there's an immediate presumption that I am an expert and that I speak on behalf of the company, and that would get me fired.
Yep.
Drew works for the CIA.
Please.
Can you tell? He's obviously covert uppers. He's actually broadcasting from deep in Russia.
Yeah, I'm secretly in Afghanistan. I'm reading emails. That's why I'm multitasking. I'm reading everybody's emails who's in the chat screen.
Yeah.
So moving on from video games, oh my god, that's a whole hour on video games. That's the longest we've done.
Well, considering last week was very skimpy on video games, that's pretty good.
Well, moving along to Mouse, you had a quick New York Historical Society update.
Yes, so...
Am I the only one hearing that echo? Because Drew was definitely like, he sounds like he's in a stadium.
No, I heard it too, and I am looking at Mouse.
Okay.
Well, hold on, let me see. Let me take a... It says my mic... the only thing recording is my microphone.
Well, I can't catch myself twice. I'm sorry.
And I'm looking at the audio settings, and it is microphone. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, let's get on with the...
Okay. Well, whatever.
Okay, so superheroes, legit. They're now in the New York Historical Society in an exhibit that is called Superheroes in Gotham. It is an exhibit that recognizes the huge cultural impact that superheroes have had, but very few people remember their New York roots. Many of these heroes were started by New York creative artists, and during the exhibit, which will open in October 9th, they're going to have very interesting memorabilia. They have a rare copy of 1938's Action Comics #1, which, as we all know, makes the debut of...
Superman?
Yes. They have the...
You didn't need to wait for me to say it. You could have just said it.
to see if you knew it. I mean,
I
come on.
know it.
You're a fake geek. No.
I beg your pardon.
So
Leave my show.
We have the 1966 Batman TV series Batmobile. Some original Spider-Man drawings by Steve Ditko himself from Amazing Fantasy number 15. I so want to see those. Just to be able to see an original Steve Ditko would be amazing.
Trying to get you to New York is a bit of a challenge financially.
Yeah.
Just have to sing at the Met already.
You know, it's that simple. Why haven't we just gone ahead and done that already?
I know.
I'm sorry, my travel budget's spent for the year. What can I say?
So there's two galleries. The first gallery tracks the origin of Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, Captain America, and Wonder Woman. And they'll have slews of first issues, early drawings, early conceptual drawings by Steve Ditko, H.G. Peter, and Joe Simon. And the second half of the second gallery explores the crossing over of media. So the first one is purely comics. The second one talks about radio, film, television, and the influence of New York artists like Philip Pearlstein. And it also is going to start showcasing contemporary New York-based superhero comics and artists.
And this is all a method of exploring American mythology, not Native American mythology, but actual American mythology, because this is sort of become what is our story. Yeah,
and in many cases, there's actually a very interesting podcast, iTunes U, and it's about superheroes, the mythic origin of superheroes. And for example, there's this college professor who actually managed to make his dissertation about superheroes, especially about Superman and biblical parallels, because he was arguing with his dissertation supervisor, I guess, mentor, and he was saying, you cannot prove to me that superheroes have any basis at all on any kind of mythological component. And
they don't.
He he said, let's talk about this. Who am I talking about here? He is the last son of his house. He was found by as an abandoned child, and then he rose to become a leader of his people. Am I talking about Moses or am I talking about Superman? And he says his professor just looked at him and said, "Give me the draft next week." So actually, I am fascinated by the concept of superheroes as modern mythical figures, especially. It's sort of a redefinition of what it means to have a modern mythology, because the original modern mythologies were usually based on the concept of the contact between a character and the deity. That was the Greek concept of a hero, that they were somehow sponsored by a deity, whereas superheroes sort of break away from that, except in certain cases like Shazam and Wonder Woman. But the majority of these other superheroes are much more individualistic in their approach. Their power, it does not come because a god gives it to them, but because they either get it or they were born with it. And that's a new twist to the mythology.
All right, and
All right.
moving on from there. First, we get the posthumous publishing from Dr. Seuss, and now, more than 40 years after his passing, we get something new from J.R.R. Tolkien.
And continuing in Christopher Tolkien's desire to cash on the cow that is his father.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about the Silmarillion this time. We're talking about
No.
the story of Kullvero.
Kullvero, which is the retelling of the Kullvero cycle, which is a section of the 19th century poetry, which is a reworking of the 19th century poetic Edda, which is based on pre-Christian mythology of Northern Europe, and it's called the Kalevala, I believe it is. And this is actually the tale of Kullvero. The story of Kullvero is something that inspired Tolkien to create one of his characters in the Silmarillion cycle. Do you remember the name of the character? Turin Turambar.
I never read the Silmarillion, so don't ask me anything about it.
I actually do read the Silmarillion. I actually enjoy the Silmarillion far more than the Lord of the Rings, because it's an amazing work of world building. If you ever want to find out what good world building looks like, so you can set your fiction in that world, the Silmarillion it is. But yes, it is going to be published in the United Kingdom on August 27th, and in the United States on October 27th. Goodness knows why. It takes so long.
Well, they have to get it across the ocean.
Well, one letter. They carry it over one letter at a time in the shirts, in the sleeves of an immigrant's sweater.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
All
They have
right.
to smuggle it in through car
Yeah.
exhaust pipes.
Yeah, we have a tax on words. We're not allowed to bring in more than one at a time.
Actually, I know why. You've seen the Lord of the Ring movies, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed how when they're speaking Middle Earthian, because whatever the common tongue, they're talking at normal speed, like you're talking pretty quickly. But the moment any son of a bitch over there switches to Elvish, it's Kunandar metrofia le sono status faludia masala. I bet you this book is being dictated on Elvish to American houses. That's
Oh,
what.
if only it were true. All right, next up, moving away from books and comics, we're going into the realm of television. And I probably should have reversed this. It should have been SyFy first, but SyFy has announced that it is bringing a new series. Well, it's going to be a mini series called Gateway, which is based off of a book by Frederik Pohl.
Mm-hmm.
And which also had a video game released.
Yes,
back
it was
in
an
92.
interactive fiction. It was an interactive fiction game. It has not been picked up again. So if you want to play it, you can find it at abandonia.com.
But as I understand it, we discover it's a space station constructed by an ancient race named the Hichi. Correct me if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly. Mousy, I assume you've read the book.
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, then I'm going to give it to you because you've read the book. I just barely heard of it.
I read the book when I was too young, so just keep going.
Okay, well then we're going to be in trouble here. Which is, I guess, a long vanished alien race. They had built a space station into a hollowed out asteroid, and then humans come across it, and I guess it's they end up having to go onto the station, and discover they barely have an understanding of He-Chi technology. And so I don't know how. I mean, I was trying to read the summary here on Wikipedia real quick because I'm like going, I need to read the book because I don't know anything about these people. But so yeah, that's coming to SyFy, and the reason I bring that up for SyFy is because they've recently announced that they are actually going away from their recent tendency towards Sharknado.
You mean they're
And,
actually going to start doing science fiction again?
They're actually going to start. Dare I say it? I swear, every time I see this logo, I don't think SyFy. I think syphilis. It's Sippy. I mean, let's be honest. It's not SyFy. That's Sippy.
Yeah.
But yes, they are going specifically away from their tendency towards Sharknado, towards actual alien and alien drama. I mean, they've recently launched shows called Killjoys and Dark Matter. Killjoys I've been vaguely interested in. I've watched a few episodes of it, but it's never been enough to drag me into the room to watch them on Friday nights. Dark Matter, I have not gotten into. It's too many characters to want to keep track of. But like I said, they still have Defiance on, and Defiance still catches my attention. I may forget about it on Fridays, but I sure as hell will remember it the following
weekend.
So, yeah, on the weekend, and when I go watch it on demand. So they're bringing in a bunch more of these actual science fiction shows,
Which is really nice.
which is the
It's the name of the station.
The freaking premise of their goddamn
I mean, I watched Battlestar Galactica, I watched Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis. I didn't really watch Stargate Universe because I got the impression that they were trying way too hard to be Stargate, to be Galactica,
Universe.
Battlestar Galactica.
Universe
Hey,
started
I only
off-
watched like the first 2 episodes
It
or so.
started off bad, but it started to get better when they finally
I've
just
heard
said,
that.
you know what, screw it, let's just do this.
When they finally found their own voice.
Yeah.
And those things were really popular. People really liked them, and I don't really understand. And I understand that there's probably a lot of money in Sharknado's kind of stuff. I'm not forgetting Farscape Warboss Web. Anyway,
Oh, please believe me, Farscape. We do not forget Farscape. I still watch Farscape when it's in reruns. I mean, I wish Babylon 5 ended up going to to SyFy for their final
I
season.
think so. Yeah, for the final season. No,
I wish,
Babylon 5 was
I'll be honest,
a while
I
ago.
wish Babylon 5 had stayed where it was, or if it had been on SyFy the entire time. I think that 5th season got damaged because of the change in channels.
Yeah.
But J. Michael Straczynski said he had only intended it to last 5 seasons, and it lasted all 5 seasons.
And
Rangers,
he
unfortunately,
ended it.
yeah, Rangers did not do well at all because I think it was too soon and it was the wrong network at the time. But there are a lot of good shows. I mean, Caprica was a very popular show.
It was.
I mean, they need to go back and realize that is their demographic. They are they are the channel of geekdom.
Yeah, and they
focus on that.
focus on that. Embrace it. That was the channel that I watched when I came home from school. As a kid, I'd go home and I'd be like, "Oh boy, Stargate SG-1 is on," or.
See, if I worked for SyFy, I would literally walk in every day with some news about CW and slam it down on their desk and go, "What are you doing, Sharknado?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "You see that? Look, superhero, superhero. Look, superhero. More things. Look, things." And what are we doing? Yeah, okay. We're becoming like the the B movie channel. So
Cinemax.
oh God. So go ahead.
I remember when they first created this new SyFy logo and when they changed it from SCI-FI to SYFY.
Syphilis.
And changing it, they were trying, and from what I understand, they were trying to give it a little bit more
Poppy edgy.
trying to make it a little bit less
Geeky.
goofy, geeky.
It was
and
a
so changing,
2000s equivalent of extreme.
yeah. So trying to change it over to SyFy and then going straight into creating a bunch of Sharknado stuff, I don't think they really helped themselves there.
I mean, I'll be honest. They have an audience for that. But if you want to make those types of movies for that audience, and I have no problem. I have friends who are fanatics about Sharknado.
Yeah.
Every time I see a Sharknado or Sharknado-esque movie coming along, I'm immediately shooting them information on Facebook. I'm like, here it is. It's the one we on. I mean, they've got fun pop things for Sharknadoes and everything like that. I
And
have
a
no
lot of
problem with it. I
there
will
is a
never
lot of
watch it.
cross-
Not my type of show. Why don't you simply make sci-fi B movie? Make a name of the channel. I mean, it's done all the time, and let them run Sharknado 24/7. I mean, I'm sure people will watch it.
Or just make it a time slot. Just call it the B movie sci-fi. You know, make it an hour-long slot every, I don't know.
Or pair up with El Rey. I mean, El Rey loves showing all these old, these drive-in type movies which are cult classics. I mean, freaking team up with them. I mean, sure they'd be happy to do it. But speaking of the competition, the CW and I believe is it CBS, ABC? Who has Supergirl? I forget.
It's an NBC?
No, it's not NBC.
My gut says it's CW because they're trying really hard to keep all the
No,
TV shows.
that's the only one
safe
that's
first.
not on CW.
Oh,
I want to say it's ABC.
Well,
who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
It's not launched yet. We'll figure it out. But my God, this week has turned into like the shotgun orgasm of guest stars and cameos.
Oh, not only that too. A recent announcement. Have you heard about Powerless?
What is Powerless?
So,
He likes to drop things on me after I've got everything else already charted.
see, he hasn't told us anything about this, so we can't
It
really
was-
discuss these.
Well, it was just released, like, and I only became aware of it at like 15 minutes before launch. But I just want to drop it here because I think you're going to like it. You remember The Office, of course, NBC's signature comedy series. Well, DC Comics
Which I never watched. But
which
go
you
ahead.
never watched, and which the new Muppets show is going to be a riff on.
Which I'm never going
And
to watch.
You're going to watch it.
Oh, no, I'm not.
It looks good. It looks funny actually, but basically, the show is going to be called Powerless. They're working on the pilot, and it takes place in the worst insurance company in the DC Comics universe. They're the people who basically file and follow the claims following superhero or supervillain incidents. And it's going to be, again, a single camera comedy show, very much like The Office. And I have to say, they will be idiots if they don't put Booster Gold in that show. I think Booster Gold would be perfect for that show as a character.
I'm holding my tongue.
What are you doing with your tongue?
I work in insurance. So for those who don't know,
Oh,
the
that's
thing I'm
right.
not really supposed to disclose, I work in insurance, and now we got a show about insurance. Great, thanks. Yay.
Anyway,
NBC announced a straight-to-series order to a project from Mike Shore.
Yeah,
So
I won't be watching that because I'll be wanting to stab every person on there. Because it reminds me, oh God, was it Marvel's or was it DC's? They had a very brief. It was Marvel. They had a very brief comic book series called Damage Control, and it was right around the time of Civil War, if I recall correctly. And it was literally the people who came in and cleaned up the catastrophic battle sites.
Oh, I take it that was not very popular.
You don't see it out on the shelves anymore, do you?
No, I don't.
But there you go.
So on top of that, we have this gigantic crossover news, isn't it?
Take them all. I know Constantine's going to show up on Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully to close up whatever happened with his show.
Yeah.
I know it has something to do with a resurrection occurring.
We know that Hawkman will debut in one of the shows before the DC Legends of Tomorrow premiere, as well as Hawkgirl too.
And J.R.R. is going to be showing up in season 2 of Flash.
Mm-hmm. And Constantine is going to be appearing on Flash too, isn't he? Or
I I only know of Arrow.
oh, Arrow. Okay, Arrow. That's right. Which at that point should just be called Constantine because no matter where he goes, where he appears, it becomes his show. That's Constantine for you.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that would result in Arrow being
Cancel.
canceled. So.
No.
But at least they're saying, "Hey, magic's still ours."
Yes.
Screw you, people who don't understand it. We're not getting rid of it.
We also have Dr. Light appearing in Flash for season 2.
Dr. Light too. This is why I said this was just. Oh, not only Dr. Light, Carol Ferris.
Yes, Carol Ferris, who is known to. Oh, I'm stepped on something. Hold on. Okay.
Carol Ferris, who is, depending on where in the comics you are, she's either Hal Jordan's love interest, or his rival, or a Star Sapphire, or leader of the Starfires,
Or all of them.
all of the above. Now, or she could be, the other Green Lantern's Kyle Rayner's, girlfriend if he's alive.
Yeah. And for further clarification, we're not talking about Dr. Light the villain. We're talking about Dr. Light the superhero, the woman from Japan who was the character's name was Kimi Yohoshi.
Technically, Dr. Light 2.
Dr. Light 2, the competent one, and she was introduced in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Dr. Light is competent. He's just a rapist.
And brainwashed.
He's a rapist.
He's a brainwashed rapist, yes.
Yes.
So chat says that Dr. Light and Ferris Air have been referenced multiple times in Flash and Arrow already. So this isn't a huge surprise to people who've been watching the show and know who they are, which is kind of the tricky part. And chat also says that Supergirl is on CBS.
Thank you.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I just bought season 1 of 2 of Arrow. Be patient with me. I have to go watch them all. I don't like Green Arrow. It's like, being force-fed, something you don't like.
Arrow starts out, you can really tell that they're trying to be Batman, but then they get their feet under them and it becomes really good. Like, I was surprised by how much I was looking forward to watching Arrow, especially around season 2.
Well, it's still, I've always disliked Oliver Queen as a character. But I'm going to give it a shot. Just so that I can get to The Flash. Because I do like The Flash. Just so that I can get to Legends of Tomorrow. Because I have hopes.
Yeah. That Legends of... Here's the thing. I'm seeing everything that they are doing with their TV shows. And I keep going, why can't this happen with the movies?
Well, that was the funny thing. I was actually... When I was at Best Buy, I was actually talking to one of the... people who worked there. And we were talking about, because I had Arrow in my hand. And he goes, "Oh yeah, it's a good series." And I explained that I was, it had been recommended, and I was going to try and watch it because it had been recommended, and I do this show. And he goes, "Yeah, but," he says, they cross over with the movie. And I'm like, no, they give the great big middle finger to the movie. It's just like the movie gives the great big middle finger to them.
Yeah, they already had Amanda Waller in early Arrow. They had a lot of characters that are coming back, and they're being played by different people.
Yep.
So I'm like, yeah, they have absolutely, aside from the fact that DC owns them both, they are flipping bird to each other because I said Supergirl is supposed to mention Clark Kent at the very beginning of the series, and that's it. It will not be Superman from the movies.
Aye.
So yeah, I have no problem watching the shows. It's just I don't like Green Arrow himself, but I will watch it because there are other characters who tend to flock around him that I enjoy. So we'll see.
Yeah,
so
we'll see.
Shall we move on from the CW verse?
Yeah.
Yes.
To Twin Peaks.
God, now that's a name that brings back memories.
Twin Peaks.
Not the restaurant.
Not the restaurant. We're talking about the series. And I saw the series when I was a kid, which I probably shouldn't have. But the only thing I remember is the log lady.
Explains a lot about you. So Twin Peaks, for those who don't know, it was a very unusual psychological thriller. It was probably the first of the modern versions. I mean, we had stuff back in the 60s and 70s, but this was probably I think between it and Lost, there wasn't anything. I mean, this is kind of the beginning of the modern era of what the hell is this show?
Yes. Some of the reveals in that show were so interesting.
It involved backwards talking dwarf people and dream sequences and strange murders. And all I know is that at the very end, it ended with the Laura Palmer, who was supposed to have been the person you were investigating the murder of, basically showing up and said, "I'll see you in 25 years."
Yes.
It was, as I understand it, a very unsatisfying ending.
Well, yeah, they're like, oh, well, here's a cliffhanger 25 years later.
Well, guess when
25 years
years
later.
is up? 25 years is up next year. And as a result, they are actually planning on this is confirmed, well, it's kind of been confirmed and then unconfirmed and reconfirmed, but they're currently working on, as I understand it, they are working on a miniseries to resolve Twin Peaks at the 25-year later mark. There have reportedly been some delay, so it may not be 2016 when it happens. It might actually be 2017.
Gasp.
Gasp. 26
Oh, dear.
years. Oops. Laura
I have
Palmer,
someone-
you bitch.
The question is, will they have Cheryl Lee playing her Laura Palmer again?
Who knows? I mean...
Well, I would be putting money on J.J. Abrams directing it. I have someone who's telling me that it was Lost before Lost happened.
Yes.
And that
It was.
so it's very much under J.J. Abrams's kind of. So if it's not J.J. Abrams, it's going to be a J.J. Abrams
Like
ish
person.
thing, and that I have some people who are very excited about this, and some people who are saying things like the reveals were fucking terrible, and you could tell they started writing the shows before each show started strong, but meh.
The notes I have here says David Lynch, as of now, indeed is directing every episode and is approaching it as one long movie.
Oh, okay.
No exact episode count was given. He describes it as open-ended, but it will be more than the original 9 episodes planned at the time of last October's order. So, because like I said, this has been ordered and then canceled and then reordered.
Ordered, yeah. I'm honestly looking forward to it. If anything, it'll be the funniest concept. The sequel finally comes up 25 years later, and it was planned, sort of.
It gives them a reason to
Well,
resell the entire series. Let's be
If
honest.
it wasn't
Exactly.
planned, then they've had 25 years to come up with a satisfactory ending. So
Exactly.
So that, keep your eyes open for more news on Twin Peaks as it comes out. I mean,
if you care.
If you care,
If you
as
give a
always.
damn.
Well, I mean, you're here, so if you care, whatever. If you love us, you'll do it. I would imagine if they do this, that there will be they will re-release and probably remaster the original series back to TV before the episodes come out. So next up, something we kind of hinted at, and I'm hoping for, the reboot of Xena Warrior Princess.
Yes, I hope so.
This is my childhood.
But now here's where
I know
I
I said
worry
that.
about Xena and Hercules had a very specific flair. It was a very Sam Raimi flair, where it was you had the drama, but you also had the humor. And they were always hand in hand. You knew exactly when to step back from one and go hard, head deep into the other. And Lucy Lawless is freaking Xena. It's like
Yes.
saying Linda Carter is freaking Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Yes.
So the worry here is that this is a reboot. This is not a continuation of Xena. So the odds of Lucy Lawless being Xena now are slim and none. And
Which makes me sad.
which makes me angry.
I know.
Concur.
I'm okay with older Xena, middle-aged Xena, menopausal Xena. I'm fine with this.
Xena finds a gray hair and goes
Like,
rampaging
Goes
across
berserk.
the
Yeah.
countryside.
Like, can you imagine a menopausal fueled
My
rage?
ankles are swollen. You're going to die.
Yes. I would watch that. I would watch that show every day that I could,
Mouse.
every time it came on.
I just had a vision. Golden Girls crossed with Xena.
Oh God.
Xena Golden Girls.
With B. Arthur as Xena.
Uh-huh.
And of course, then her war cry would not be that, but it would like ah.
Gabrielle, played by Rue McClanahan or Betty White.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a Greek.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Travel up the rest.
oh God. I mean, let's see. I'm looking at notes here from an article.
Raimi is in the project, isn't he?
Huh?
Sam Raimi is in the project, though, isn't he?
Is he? I'm not sure. I'm sure he's in. I know he and Lucy have given their thumbs up to it.
I know that, well, at least from the article I read about 2 days ago, he was being brought in for talks.
Well, because again, I mean, it's his. I believe he owns it.
Right.
So I mean, they of course have to have his blessing for it. I guess NBC's chairman Bob Greenblatt was noting that we'd love to have Lucy be a part of it if we felt that her presence didn't overshadow the direction we take with it. I'm not
What?
sure. I'm not sure how she could be part of it if she wasn't playing Xena, and I don't know if that's the direction we'll ever go. That's why I'm like going. She's not coming in as menopausal Xena, so
Like, and she has a very iconic look with the dark hair and the ice blue eyes. You know?
Yeah.
she basically when they announced Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, I'm like going, no. Lucy
Yeah.
Lawless is Wonder Woman in the modern age. Let's be honest.
Yeah, she was She was the Wonder Woman who never was because DC couldn't get its head out of its ass in time.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's got that beautiful bone structure. She is tall and statuesque. I mean, she is the Wonder Woman that should have been.
Yeah.
Yep.
No disrespect to Linda Carter. You are the Wonder Woman of all time, but
Yeah, this Lucy Lawless was the Wonder Woman we needed in the 90s and 2000s, and we never got.
Yeah. So if they don't have somebody, and the problem is we have this iconic view of who and what Xena is, and so they're gonna have to take it in a new direction. Otherwise, it'll be frankly bland, uncreative, and
Yeah,
uninteresting.
I
they
just hope.
they
But we
could
have to
use
find that
Gina Carano.
balance.
They could use Gina Carano.
I just hope that whatever they do is Sam Raimi stays involved enough to where it doesn't become grimdark.
Yeah.
Grimdark Xena not going to be good.
Yeah, no. I mean, we already had Grimdark Rome. Remember that series? God, that was awful.
So,
Gina Torres.
Gina Torres.
Torres,
She might be too old
I'd watch-
for that
she
by
might be-
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if Lucy Lawless is considered too old, then Gina Torres.
well,
will be
I don't
considered
think it's that Xena's considered too old. Lucy Lawless still looks flawless.
She looks flawless.
Well,
She's in great shape.
yeah.
She is always gorgeous. She is. Talk about aging gracefully. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean,
Ooh,
so I don't
that's
think
how I wanna
it's not
look.
an age. Yeah, it's not an age thing. I think she could still run around and I think. I just don't think Gina Torres has the gravitas, shall we say?
okay.
Well, Gina Carano could.
But we're speculating on things that we, obviously.
Things that yet may
Think so.
be.
And we
NBC
don't-
Entertainment, if you'd like to hire us to possibly brainstorm with you on the
We'll
series,
find you the best Xena ever. Seriously.
Cece will darken her hair. She'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. Like tiny Xena. Tiny Xena.
She could be Gabrielle.
Gabrielle.
I could see
Gabrielle's a
I
singer.
watch that.
Hey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Tiny Xena.
Tiny Xena.
All right, so
It's
moving
Xena.
on from TV to the big screen, Civil War, Captain America: Civil War. Just so people who don't know, Disney is having its D23. It's a version of Comic-Con this weekend, so we're anticipating that they're going to announce something regarding Civil War.
They have actually. They've just
Oh.
released some footage from about
did
5
they?
minutes ago.
Oh well, see, this is so pressing, so up to the minute news. I don't even have it,
Live
so-
news, cutting edge, people.
cutting edge.
You're
Take
getting
it, mouse.
for your buck.
Live on the scene.
No.
Come on, you can't give us that bit of information and be
only.
like, no.
Well, I can't because I'm on the browser that does not support does not support
Oh.
Flash, so I can see the release. I just can't see the footage.
Oh well. sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
they wouldn't even let it. They probably would be shutting YouTube down if I showed any footage, anyways.
Exactly.
So prior to the announcement, they were talking about, I guess, there's a new Spider-Man suit, which is not the spandex suit. It looks like kind of a hoodie situation, which I actually like.
It's the homemade suit.
It's a homemade suit, and I'm like going, I like that outfit. That's kind of cool.
That could be what Spider-Man wears to urban parties. It
When
looks
he's
it
chilling
looks
with
pretty
his homies.
stylish. It looks pretty stylish. I want a suit like that.
Well, they said it's homemade. And,
Yeah,
you know, if they're going to show Spider-Man being a young superhero, it makes sense that they would have some version of a homemade Spidey suit.
you know what I would love for them to do? I don't know if they will, but honestly, Marvel, you could do this. You've done other things. You know, this is the homemade suit, so it's obvious that Peter Parker is no tailor. Um, I would love for him to get his like traditional spandex suit from Leo Zelensky,
Hmm.
whom maybe if you haven't been reading comics as long as some of us have, Leo Zelensky is the tailor who does a lot of repair work for heroes and villains in the Marvel universe. He establishes one day for heroes and one day for villains, and they come to his shop, and he like sews, makes new repairs, designs new costumes. It was one of the funniest issues out there. But for example, he reveals that Thor likes reading bridal magazines. So I would just love to see like Peter Parker in his like out from a battle in his like broken down suit, stumbling upon Leon Zelensky, and he going, I'll do you something better. Come in."
What is this?
What is this? At least you're not wearing capes.
Yeah.
But they've also shown there have been some unofficial pictures released of Black Panther's outfit, showing him in his battle harness and all that crap. It does have, quite honestly, it does have a bit of a Batman flair, but it always has. You know,
Right.
except for the fact that its entire face is covered. So I don't see anything wrong with that. But it's hard to see exactly what it looks like because these were telephoto shots from people who were clearly not supposed to be wherever the hell they were.
Yeah.
So you know, we'll probably get some official shots at some point. Maybe out of D23 we'll get something, and we can probably talk about it more next week. But moving on, like a chihuahua with a chew toy, we can't let this one go. I finally got to sit down and watch Comic Girl 19's review of this, and
Of this tragedy. It's a
she
Greek
had
tragedy.
some remarkable insights about this. I completely agree with her in retrospect. In that it wasn't where I said that my complaint was that the entire final battle was tacked on and then the final conclusion was tacked on. She was right. The entire tacked on part was 1 year later,
Yeah.
much like DC did with their comic book line.
Yeah, well, one of the problems that I noticed with the Fantastic Four movie is this: the Fantastic Four, when you look at them as a concept, they're not superheroes, and by that I mean they're not your typical Avengers level superheroes. They're not going, oh, how shall we save the world today? No, in many cases, if you can make a successful Fantastic Four movie, you have to make it basically something like a Ghostbusters movie. It has to have weird science, it has to have teamwork, but the primary issue is not in and of itself some evil boss fight. The boss fight just comes as a result of the weird science. And that's basically the whole angle of the Fantastic Four.
Well, apparently, as the original version of the movie was completed, there was an original version, and there was an entire separate ending. The entire 1 year later thing did not exist. It went on to, I guess, just keep following them from that point on. Reed Richards ran off to South America. There was something involving. They actually created the Fantasticar out of all this, and
Yeah.
but like I said, just speaking to Comic Girl 19, who thank God for her as well.
Yes, thank God for her.
Because I get my YouTube from a lot of different sources, and she commented that really the first part of the movie was a Cronenberg-esque exploration of body horror, the transformations.
Body horror.
Yes,
Yeah.
body horror. HORROR.
Those are two very different things.
Horror.
I just had to make the distinction
Yes,
because
I'm
I
sorry, I don't enunciate that
I
particular
misheard
word
it.
well.
I didn't want our listeners and viewers to go, what?
Body horrors.
Well, they did now that you corrected him.
So, but I mean, and that's true to a degree. I mean, Ben Grimm has always been the whole "what the crap am I? Fix me, fix me, fix me." I mean, but Human Torch has always been, hoo, I like this power. I'm going to go show off.
Flame on.
Yes, flame on. I always wanted him to do it, just sort of kind of a way. But my concern
Talk about Fire
was,
Island, baby.
I mean, again, going back to my complaints. I mean, look at this. The 1 year later part, you had Reed Richards walk into a South American store with a different freaking face on.
Yeah.
Carry on a conversation without anything. Get in the car, start driving away, shake his face off, and yet he can't control his limbs? What? Do you have any idea? I mean, I'm going to go into geek mode. Do you have any idea how many polygons go into the face? The sheer amount of muscle control to alter your facial appearance versus keeping your arms a normal length. No. I mean, let's be honest. That would have been first thing I'd worked on. How do I keep my arm a normal length?
Yeah.
And honestly, if I could change my face to whatever I wanted to look like, I would pick like the weirdest things. Like I would look like Gargamel just to scare the shit out of people.
Mouse, you would be the most successful freaking opera star ever.
Yeah.
I would walk in and like, does anyone have anything blue?
Like, I would just change myself into Joan Sutherland.
Asriel!
And just turn into Pavarotti. Little handkerchief.
Yeah.
So I mean, but this, she also went into, there were 8 total factors that she mentioned that were behind the scenes that she felt basically made this movie the disaster that it was. I mean, everything from producer, whatever the hell he was, director. Thank you. Everything
the
from
disaster.
Well, I guess there was one point where he was originally had been tapped to be the director for Star Wars 8, not 7, but 8, and in the midst of this, they said, no.
No.
And so he was dropped from that. Something
Well,
about
it did
his
cost like $100,000.
something about his dogs doing $100,000 worth of damage to the hotel room.
I don't buy those were his dogs unless he has like 3 Great Danes.
Yeah,
Like,
it was done at about the exact same time he lost that contract. I mean, there was apparently the first version of the movie was shown to the Fox people, and there was no big boss fight. There was nothing, and they just went, no, yunk. So that's why the entire ending looks tacked on, because it was.
It was.
tacked on.
It was completely tacked on.
And let's be honest, even if this man had what he says was a good vision of it, we are talking about someone who had like a tiny little movie that was successful, and then he was thrown into like this huge juggernaut of a film without any intermediate steps. Mm-hmm. And honestly, unless you're one of the greatest cinematic geniuses in history, you're not going to pull that off.
You
I have
don't
no
go from
idea
a wading pool to swimming in the ocean.
Exactly. I have no idea what the hell Fox was thinking. But then again, look at the design for Doom. And then again, look at the design for Apocalypse. I'm noticing a couple of things here.
Well, they're both Fox.
They're both Fox.
I mean, this is the worst of all 3 Fantastic Four films that have been released recently. This is the worst rated.
It's even worse, and it's even worse than the unreleased movie. I have seen the
unreleased one that they did back in the day that some people have seen and some people have not. But this has got the worst rating. It is a financial disaster. It is not even making up the money in the foreign market.
It's going to cost $60 million apparently to Fox.
Yes, and apparently fans have filed a petition demanding Fox relinquish the rights back to Marvel so that they can do the damn thing right. Because if Marvel tries to do Fantastic Four 4, Marvel's going to go, we're going to have a chat because...
Yeah. Well, honestly, at this point, considering we're talking about the company who right now could very believably do a Howard the Duck movie and have it rock.
They could, because Disney, freaking Daffy Duck could show up in the goddamn movie and be all...
Howard the Duck. Yeah. Actually, this is the funny thing. Fantastic Four, the current movie, is actually ranking lower on Rotten Tomatoes than Howard the Duck.
Oh,
well, Howard the Duck is its own
cult
classic.
I would not call it a horrible movie.
Horrific genius.
It is. It's That's the thing. That the bad thing about Fantastic Four is that it doesn't even have that. It's like a movie that's just tepid in all
Well,
levels.
Howard the Duck is self-aware.
That
Well,
too.
Howard the Duck knows that it's a bad movie.
See,
They don't just accept it; they embrace it. They jump head on into
and
it.
the thing is given the current relationship between Marvel and Disney, this is why I think this would be actually hysterical to do. I could see Howard the Duck having his movie, and at some point dress up like Batman and call himself Darkwing.
Yes! Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my
I am
god!
the terror that flaps in the night.
I am the terror that flaps in the night. That would be That would be amazing.
It would be it would be a wink and a nod and a touch to the nose to everybody who's watched anything Disney related. And
This is the Disney afternoon.
And unlike Star Trek, where they went, oh, we're going to do con, and we're going to cleverly reverse this stuff, and
And they're like, we're gonna do it backwards, and like instead of it being a nice little touch to the nose and be like, they're like, we're gonna shove it in your face.
Hey!
take it.
Let's just
take
do
it,
this
old fans,
shot
take
for
it.
shot. Let's just do this shot for shot, but with more lens flare.
That's fair. Very briefly, now that we touched upon the Darkwing Duck, there is in fact a full-fledged rumor mill going on right now that Disney is looking to revive the Disney Afternoon by 2016 or 2017.
Oh, they could do it.
With
Don't take any effort on their part.
well, they're starting to work on the DuckTales new show, which is going to be a CG show.
Oh, God.
But there's talk about doing also bringing back Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, and if that is successful,
Chip and Dale's.
yes, not Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers.
I would
I
watch
would-
that
I
too.
would-
Me dancing around rescuing
I would
people.
watch the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
That's a
if
body whore.
exactly. So, anyways, back to the
we've got-
Slapstick Four.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes to wrap some up, so here, let's just rush through our remaining 3 topics. Gem, otherwise known as Oh God, Why? Yet another teen band movie, except this time with robots!
This time with robots. We've seen Synergy, and it looks awful.
Synergy looks like the freaking robot from Earth to Echo.
Synergy kind of reminds me of, remember back in the 80s when McDonald's had that promotion that you could have your little robot that would serve you your hamburger and your shake? That robot was more believable than this.
Mm-hmm.
So
It looks like the freaking that little tiny droid from the Star Wars movie made love to Echo, and
it looks like Tweaky. It looks like Tweaky from Buck Rogers.
Not even close.
Well, the problem is
Not
that Gem and the
even.
Holograms is very much a slice of the 80s.
Yeah.
And that in trying to modernize it, in trying to set it in the current age, they've lost a lot of what made Gem and the Holograms so charming.
Exactly.
Well, see, the reason I refer to this as yet another teen band movie is because you could name this anything else and have a perfectly valid teen movie.
You can call it Bitch Perfect, for example.
Yeah. Well, don't call it Pitch Perfect because
No, I said Bitch Perfect.
no, Bitch Perfect, whatever. Call it Bitch Please, quite honestly, is what it is.
Yeah.
Because just taking the name and the characters and you're not even taking the premise. You're raping the premise.
This is just awful. This is.
I mean,
this
why
is
are
going to
they
be-
and the holograms? There's no holographic thing.
What's the name of the band? You know, the girls just like they're like the holograms thing that like see at the Disney store, and it's like I just want to call them band like that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, they literally should have just named it something else, rename all the characters, and just call it yet another teen band movie, and be done with it.
Yep.
And we'd stop complaining.
Yeah.
We'd never
Seriously.
see it, but we'd stop complaining.
Which not complaining, and this is like a big slap in the face. I know that Christy Marks does not technically own the property because she created it for hire, but this is Christy Marks' baby. How can you have a Gem and the Holograms movie and not bring Christy Marks on board?
I just don't understand why they're trying to go for the aesthetic of Gem and the Holograms, and they're not, but trying to modernize it. It doesn't
they're
make
not in
sense
the
to me.
context.
Gem and the Holograms is
Camp.
like it's the 80s.
If you could do X-Men Apocalypse in the 80s, you could have done this in the 80s too.
Exactly.
Big shoulder pads and gigantic hair and
Yeah. Hell yeah. And keytars and synthesizers.
Like there's a keytar in that picture right now. Nobody today uses a keytar. It just looks weird and out of place. If this was actually set in the 80s, it would not look weird and out of
Garnet
place.
from Steven Universe uses a keytar.
Yeah, well, Steven Universe gets to break the rules.
Steven Universe is kind of like the show that happened when I don't know, when Gem and the Holograms and Rainbow Bright had a child.
Well, the Steven Universe knows the rules, and if you know the rules before you can break them.
Yeah.
You know, you have to know what rules to before you break them.
Using a keytar is actually considered a conscious nod, considering it's a fusion. It's a fusion instrument, and she is a fusion gem.
Yes.
So there's actually a conscious nod on that one. But Gem and the Hologram, no. Moving on. Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Woo!
Don't bite yourself.
I didn't bite myself.
Somebody oomed. What was that?
I went woo.
Oh.
Moving on to news of movies that will probably not suck.
Well, this was one of the reasons that they were wondering whether Disney would actually mention anything regarding Civil War, because they figured they were going to be burning all the hype on the Star Wars franchise, considering it's coming out sooner. So we still may see some more coming out from D23 on this. But there was a lot of released images this past week, including the full Grand Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, who I don't know why that was a big shock. It's just a man in white robes with a beard.
And it's Mark Hamill, so...
It's Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
It's not like we haven't seen him, so...
Yeah.
Well, you can go, look how great he looks now.
Although, while looking for this logo, I came across my one of my favorite memes. My second favorite meme is for the next topic was Brienne of Darth Vader.
Yes, I am excited.
I pissed myself laughing on that one.
What was it?
Brienne of Darth Vader.
I have not seen this.
Basically it's Brienne's head from Game of Thrones on Darth Vader's body, walking through the opening of Star Wars.
Yeah.
With the stormtroopers behind her. Because in Game of Thrones, she's called Brienne of Tarth.
Oh, God.
So she's Brienne of Darth Vader.
I'll
because she's one of the villains in the new movie, so...
Yeah.
I have to look at this.
It's just hysterical. I laughed.
Yeah.
But obviously can't show the pictures here because I don't want to risk the show being yanked. So that and, audio people, sorry.
Yes.
All right, so moving on to our last topic.
Not our last topic, is it?
Beetlejuice 2?
Oh, God, yes. Never mind.
So there's been confirmation that Beetlejuice 2 is a thing. It is coming. So...
I didn't know we needed a second one, but okay.
I didn't either, but I actually wanted to grab the opening theme song from the actual animation.
La 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 la. There you go.
Though I know I should be wary, still I venture someplace scary. Ghostly hauntings I let loose. Sorry. So yeah, Winona Ryder has announced that it's confirmed. Considering how old she is, we don't know whether she's going to be playing Lydia or what. Not this
or her
time
ghost,
around. Or her ghost, or And when I said that was Brienne was the best meme I've seen. The second one I've seen was Beetlejuice in the waiting room looking at Joker from. And there were two versions of that one. One of them was "Why So Serious," and the other one was "Don't worry, Batman killed my career too."
Oh. Ooh,
so I'm sorry. I was like going, do I want to put that graphic up? I really do, but I shouldn't.
Well, I guess Winona Ryder must be short on cash these days.
Maybe not. Who knows? I mean, it's not her thing.
Well, she agreed to be on it.
Well,
this is
who knows what the plan? Who knows what the plot is? I mean, she could be the new Beetlejuice, for crying out loud.
Maybe.
I don't see Winona Ryder as pulling off Beetlejuice. I'm sorry.
Well, who knows? Maybe they'll go creepy grimdark.
Now, okay, there are some movies that can withstand a sequel, and there are some movies that are quirky, odd, and clearly should have remained a one-shot forever and ever. Beetlejuice is one of those.
Well, we are in the age of remakes and sequels for some strange reason, so who knows?
Yeah.
This is the decade where clearly not an original idea can come out.
Yes, unfortunately. I'm clearly I love Beetlejuice. It's one of my favorite movies from the 80s, and it's because it was made in the 80s that it worked, and I don't think you can get away with even replicating it today, and that means that you would have to update it, and we've seen how well that works.
Well, we will see. It's a thing, so we'll unless it gets as all things that are things, they can get canceled at any given point in time.
Let
Or
us pray.
mysteriously go to video.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
It might be really good.
I am not holding. It's like saying Gem and the Holograms might be really good.
I mean, everything, all of this stuff, when we're just looking at the trailers for things and saying, "Oh, well, this looks bad." It looks bad, but it doesn't mean, I was surprised by how good Guardians of the Galaxy was.
I
Yeah,
wasn't.
but it didn't look bad. It didn't look bad to begin with, but
It didn't look bad. It looked more hokey.
yeah.
But
than it
again, that's
was.
why we're here. Let's be honest. We
So-
are geeks, and we're here to comment on what we see.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously
So-
we're not all knowing and all powerful, unfortunately. Damn
However,
you, universe.
I did call that the Fantastic Four movie would be a flop, but then
As
again,
did everybody.
everyone else. So there are some things that are self-evident, such
I'm
as
like, yeah, don't think you were alone in that. Everybody pretty much called
there are
that
some,
one.
there are some remakes you just don't do.
So we'll
Why
have
not
to,
simply remake Beetlejuice?
but we'll see. We will see. Everything we say, especially with this, especially these predictions about things that may or may not even happen, that's all.
I'm sorry. I just saw the Brienne of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
It was linked in the chat, and I just clicked on it. Oh my
I
god!
told
Yeah.
you, it's awesome.
But everything we say must be taken with a
Whoever-
grain of salt, like
Whoever
that.
came up with that Brienne of Darth Vader, props to you. Really, props. So, as always, before we disappear, I'm going to reiterate what I said last time. We are doing a giveaway this time. And the idea of the giveaway is that you must be a follower on YouTube. I appreciate all my followers on Twitch, but we're going to do this through YouTube because it's easier for me to track. So you must be a subscriber on YouTube, Steel Phoenix TV. All these things over here, by the way, are Steel Phoenix TV, so just look for it that way. And leave a comment on this video, on this episode, when it goes live, which will probably be in about 10-15 minutes, when it finishes processing. Leave a comment. I will then, next week, when we do our next episode, announce who the winner is, and I'll show you what you're going to win. You're going to win a lot of comics.
Yes.
We have
Yay.
the Book of Magic from Neil Gaiman. I'm sorry, they're reversed because of my camera. So we got the Books of Magic from Neil Gaiman.
Ooh.
We have... Sorry, I have them. JLA versus the Avengers, all four.
Oh.
It's got a lot of crossovers going on. We have Batman, Spider-Man. We have Batman, Spawn. We have Sword of Azrael
Ooh.
from Batman. We have Green Lantern, Gathant's Tale. Pardon the shiny. Green Lantern, Silver Surfer crossover. We have, for those who remember Malibu Comics, Rune Silver Surfer.
Ooh. Ooh.
For those who remember Malibu and the Ultraverse, The Wheel of Thunder. We have books 1 and 2 of the Thanos Quest.
Damn.
Yes, this is a big package. And Darkseid versus Galactus.
Wow.
So, big old chunk of comics.
Damn. This
So-
is how Drew does his spring cleaning.
Spring
Yeah.
He
cleaning.
just does a giveaway.
I do giveaways. This is quite honest, true. So, like I said, when I announce the winner, I will simply ask that you private message me afterward with an address so I can send it to you. And I will send that out after episode 110, because this is episode 109.
I don't know.
And so, like I said, just be a subscriber on YouTube and leave a comment in the video, and we will
We'll
see
be
you
down there.
guys. Let's find out what everybody's doing this week. Mouse?
I will continue looking for work. I will also continue working on my comics, and I have been asked to be part of the 30th anniversary of the Dante Alighieri Society in October, so I have to sing. I have to just prepare a 15-minute selection of arias from Italian operas for it. So I'll start assembling that. And yeah, I think so. I think that's about what I'm doing.
I am going to be continuing to work on the role that I'm working on, and I have my normal job that I'm going to go to, which is
Interesting.
it's a job. It's a job. It's interesting. I
really
can't
cool.
really talk about it.
She's a secret agent.
I'm a secret agent as
She's
well.
also in the CIA. We're both in the
Yeah,
CIA.
I'm also in the CIA.
You
But
carpool.
and hopefully I won't be
Carpool
mistaken
from different
for a child on the bus today, next time, on Monday.
All right. So me, yeah, I will probably be watching TV and finishing up Kill Count Dark, and if I can, I do have enough information to work on my review of Aeon. So maybe I'll do that. Who knows?
Oh, finally.
Yeah. Well, I've had a lot. I just haven't recorded it. I mean, it's the first time it's the first time I've ever played with Audacity. It's a lot of work.
I turned off my Fallout shelter, but I got a message that a baby is about to be born right now. So I'm getting bombarded
Right
with that.
now.
Like right now, it's like I turned you off. You should not be telling me this. And I'm afraid that I'm going to turn it on and like half of my base, half of my shelter is dead.
Yeah.
It's like a Tamagotchi. If you don't interact with it, they die of starvation and sadness. Where is our creator? Why isn't he here?
Why has he abandoned us?
All right, so follow, join, subscribe, all the things over there. Steel Phoenix TV, Steam, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Yep, find us. We will see you guys next week, and as always, thank God for Jim Sterling.
Thank God for Jim Sterling.
And
Because
see you
he's
guys.
Jim fucking Sterling's son.
Yep, him. Yep. See y'all later.
Yep.